I'd say early 20s, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. And he used to do these things where he'd cure phobias. And so one of the phobias that day was public speaking. And my little team I was in, Eddie. And we get called up on the stage, he made you give a speech. So like 30 of us get up there and give a speech, and it was just terrifying. I literally almost peed myself. Like I was going to pass out. I was going blank, like in and out of consciousness almost. And then I talked and like, wow. When I was done, at the intermission, they said, Tony would like to talk to you. And I walked backstage and he goes, I've not said this before. He goes, I think you might be the most gifted speaker I've ever seen. Please pursue this. And I was like, what? He goes, I'm just telling you, please pursue it. 2 years later, I was on stage touring with him.
Really?
And I think the lesson in that for me was, man, like sometimes on the other side of massive fear. This isn't a saying either. I mean this. Sometimes on the other side of massive fear is your great gift.
Oh, I love that.
Or a great rewarding. And like I stumbled into this because I conquered this monster fear. It's almost like that fear is the barrier to get to your greatness.
Yeah.
And once that went away, and I've had that example happen in a few other things in my life too. So like I kind of chase fear now. I hate it.
Yeah.
But I chase fear because there's always a gift on the other side. It could be a gift of a reward, but it also could be a gift about you didn't know you possessed.
Yeah.
And so something I'm addicted to doing now, but that was probably the first example in my life I went, this is changing now. And the key to a happy life, see, we all know that. Like we say, hey, life happens for you. Everything that's ever happened negative, didn't it end up being kind of something you learned or improved from? And you always know it in hindsight.
Yeah.
The question is, can you begin to live your life in such a way that you know it in present time? That as you're experiencing that adversity, as you're experiencing the fear, in that moment, you can accept the truth. This is happening for me. Like my dad, driving out here, my dad's got cancer. He's in chemo right now.
Yeah.
And like his third bout. What the hell? How is that happening for me?
Yeah.
How is it good that my dad's got cancer? Because there's a ton of negatives. But candidly, he's had it for a couple years. It's changed my life for the better. Now, I don't want to lose my father. It's horrible. But the for me part, I take my own relationships with my kids completely differently. When the phone rings now, I'll be honest, when it was my dad before, if I was busy, I'm like, I'll call him back.
Yeah.
Now I pick it up. Hey, Dad. My dad tells me he loves me 100 times more than he ever did before. Our relationship's different. Time is precious with him. It's ironically been an incredible gift in all of those other ways. My own health and mortality, I'm more aware of all of a sudden because my dad's going through it.
Yeah.
So I've embraced this is happening for me, not to our family, even as we're going through this really hard time now, and it's made me happier.
Okay, how do you fight for that though? I mean, because like you said though, why it's happening, is there a technique that you can use to say, you know what, the shit's coming down all around me right now? How do you pause? Yeah, I pause. So I'm first off, I'm intentional about it. I'm a huge believer in the power of intention and awareness. So when these negative thoughts creep in, whatever they are, fear, I'm aware of my own thinking. And once you're aware of a thought, it loses its power to have a feeling over you. This is what most people don't understand. So we're all gonna have those thoughts like, oh, I'm losing my dad, it's a horrible thing. When you're aware of that negative thought, the feeling loses its power over you. One of the things that I think people need to start to understand is, if you don't align your thoughts and your feelings, neither one has any power. There has to be a congruency between what you're thinking and what you're feeling. That's why, like, for example, when people set up all these goals, I'm gonna make $1 million, or I'm gonna go to the NFL, or I'm gonna be happy, or I'm gonna lose 20 pounds. In the moment you're having that thought, if you're feeling that you can't have it, if you're feeling that's not going to happen, your body, which is your unconscious mind actually at work, the feeling overrides the thought and that goal has no power. One of the things about visualization that happens is if you put yourself in the movie of your life, you begin to feel what it feels like to catch that pass in the end zone. So the thought is simultaneous with the feeling. So if you can begin to visualize what your goals are and allow yourself to feel it in the present time, and here's the gift I'll give you. If you could already experience gratitude for an event or a goal that has not yet happened, but you can experience the gratitude. So when you'd have these visualizations, you probably didn't know you were doing it when you played, but you're visualizing the catch. You're visualizing the celebration. You're already in a gratitude state about having received the goal you have. Now you've aligned in congruence your feelings with your thoughts. Now you're a powerful MFer. But what most people do in their life is they either have the conscious thoughts
overridden by their like lack. I have never done this before. I'm not going to do it. I've always been 20 pounds overweight. I don't have $1 million in the bank. And they write down all these goals that aren't linked with the feeling. And people say, well, how do I get the feeling? You get the feeling by having gratitude for the event before it's happened.
Yeah.
So gratitude would be my answer. I'm trying to find the thing I'm grateful for during this event in the present time.
Yeah.
That's the override.